Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're discussing the latest patch in Marvel's Avengers, including the Cosmic Cube, changes to Elite Hives, and perhaps one of the worst bugs to hit the game yet. Without further ado, let's get to it. So before we go any further, I do want to address this bug that has come into the game this patch. And that is a bug that is affecting PS5 players, specifically streamers more than anything else, in which the game is showing IP addresses. Now obviously this isn't affecting everyone, as I said it is PS5 players mainly, but naturally it is something very important to keep an eye out for. If you are a PS5 player and you do stream, I'd suggest keeping an eye on official channels for a update on a patch for a fix on that. That fix might already be in place by the time you're watching this video, but of course, better to be safe than sorry. Now, onto the bulk of the patch. I do want to talk about story first, as we always do here. The story of this patch is far more substantial than what we usually get, and very much continues on from the Future Imperfect patch. The story starts with Roy finding a location that matches the Cosmic Cube signature found in the future, and the team, bar Hulk and Bruce, discuss what to do about it. They decide to stop Monica, and the mission begins. Throughout the mission, you're getting banter with the teammates about why you have to stop Monica, but as well as that, obviously, you're getting discussion with Monica about why this is the wrong thing to do, and why her trying to stop the Kree with the Cosmic Cube will not succeed, knowing that you have seen the future, of course. And at the end of the villain sector, we have a bit of a cliffhanger for what seems to be the next part of the story. Naturally, I won't go too far into detail on that, just because I feel like it's better if you experience that yourself. But there is a return of a character that did show up during the Future Imperfect patch, and I think it's very interesting where they leave that, especially in light of the Wakanda trailers and the Wakanda discussions that we've been having in recent weeks and recent months. So the substantiality of the story is clearly improving, and I think this should be a golden standard going forward. Even when you're dropping a piece of content like a villain sector, story can be interwoven into that, story can make sense in that situation, and it works for the betterment of the game overall. Gameplay wise though, I personally think this is the best villain sector we have in the game. Now some might argue that that isn't necessarily a hard thing to achieve. I wouldn't necessarily disagree, but I would argue this is a lot more of an improvement than simply a slightly better fight. This is a fight that's more intuitive. You have to think about it a little bit. There's a little bit more involved in it than simply hitting a boss until it dies. When you're fighting Scientist Supreme, you're fighting almost lieutenants of Monica, though they are clones, and each of those lieutenants has a different affinity. One is a wind-based character, one is a gravity-based character, and one is an electric-based character. And each of those have their own specific movesets and things that they do. What I will say about these characters are, they do feel at times slightly ineffectual. I feel like their abilities could be slightly tuned up, or there could be a hard version of this fight that kind of tunes them up to another level. Because this very much felt like a story version of the fight. It wasn't necessarily easy per se, especially as you tried to learn it. For example, at the end of each fight with a lieutenant, Monica would have a window in which you had to DPS her down. There's a little timer, and you have to get a certain amount of DPS done within that given period, which I think is really interesting and really cool to see. But it's not obliquely obvious, at least to me it wasn't. And I thought that perhaps the situation was that you had to hide behind these pillars that were in the fight. Now, either way, I think that's interesting. If there were situations where you had to hide behind cover, that would be cool too. In fact, I think I might even prefer that compared to the DPS check. But at the same time, new ways to fight and new mechanics within a fight, or new ways of the fight progressing, is obviously something that is welcome and is something that I would like to see going forward. The fight is in 4 stages, and it doesn't feel particularly boring, but even before that you do have a sort of precursor fight, and in that fight you're trying to control locations, you're also trying to destroy certain objectives, and that adds an urgency. It adds a kind of ramping up of what the fight is going to be. It's really nice to see kind of this fight starting before it even starts, so to speak, and that everything you're doing throughout this mission does feel like it is leading on narratively even throughout the gameplay, and that the stakes are being raised as you're continuing this piece of content. As well as this, obviously, we do now know that the mega hives in the game are being reduced in size to about half of what they were previously. I haven't had a chance to test that as yet, but it does sound promising and does sound far more rewarding to be able to go through that at a quicker pace and not having to worry about that becoming boring or otherwise painful to repeat. That is, of course, the gameplay that is in right now during this patch, but as well, we are getting a Cosmic Cube event on Thursday, and this Cosmic Cube event will see you kind of going into other villain sectors or threat sectors and being imbued with cosmic energy that changes kind of or otherwise augments your fighting in those areas. And of course, that is a limited time event running from the 24th to the 8th of next month. So if you guys are interested in that, get in the game on Thursday as soon as you can and run that, of course, up until July 8th. Those are, of course, the big content updates this patch, guys. I think largely we have a decent patch here. It's a shame that it kind of got overshadowed by this big bug, but there is, of course, some gold in there, as there usually is with a Marvel's Avengers patch, and I would rate this one pretty highly. Naturally, being a PC user, I haven't had the PS5 issue myself, but I do empathize with everyone who is having it, and I hope that this fix comes soon. That is it from me today, guys. Thank you for watching as always. If you did like this video, please share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.